Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Next.js and Chill. It's great to have you here. We've been doing live streams for a long time now. Usually it's Friday live streams that can cover anything, but mostly TypeScript, JavaScript stuff related, and mostly Svelte and SvelteKit related. Today we're doing Next.js, we're doing React. Of course, the ecosystem of JavaScript and TypeScript is huge, has some key big players, and I think the best and biggest one is what Vercel puts out, and especially the Next.js meta framework. So I want to commit myself into doing even more in the Next.js land. And that's what these bonus extra streams are all about. Let me know what you've been up to. Let me know what you're doing today. Let me know how your week is going. And what we'll be doing is essentially redesigning this site. My site, because it's nice to have projects for clients and all of that, but sometimes you gotta take care of yourself, you know, some tender love and care for yourself. This is already an Next.js app that I've built maybe 3 years ago. The very first version was maybe 10 years ago, at least when Angular was starting to get a bit popular. The first version of this site was Angular for the front end, Laravel PHP on the back end. Now it's full stack JavaScript, TypeScript, it's Next.js, but we'll take it into Next.js 13 and beyond. We'll be using React server components, we'll be using the new app router, Suspense, HTTP streaming, all of that good stuff. But with the one stream we've done so far, we only have this. So not too much to look at, not something I would push live necessarily. Today we won't be doing an essential feature like a lot of PMs would say, let's do this later, let's do this never, but it is a feature that's best worked in at the start of a project. We'll be doing dark mode, toggleable user-defined dark mode. So if I switch to the coding view, we can go over the agenda. You can see it in the description, lots of helpful links. We've talked about my portfolio / blog site that we're designing today, and we'll start to get going with dark mode with cookies. There are a few videos on how you can do this just client side with some small JavaScript you can execute and look into the user's local storage or session storage, for example, but I prefer doing this with cookies on the server. This has drawbacks, as everything in engineering, there are pros and cons, but I do like the server itself serving HTML that's already in dark mode or light mode or whatever it needs to be. So you are for sure guaranteed to not get that flicker from light to dark mode that is especially annoying, and the drawbacks we'll go over in the future. I've done this quite a few times on streams and on a video with SvelteKit. Time to do it with Next.js. Where we left things off, we do have a functional dark mode in that it does respect the user's preference. So my preference on my operating system, this Mac here, is dark mode, and that's why I see the dark version of the website. If I simulate prefers color scheme light, you'll see that it goes into light mode here. So text is darker, backgrounds are lighter, brighter. But what we want is to have a button at the top of the page so the user can start with the mode they prefer, but if they want to switch things around, they can. Not necessary for your portfolio, marketing, whatever site, because sometimes designers do want to be in total control of what the user sees, but I say that's not amazing. You can do better. You should respect what the user wants. If they want huge fonts, you should respect that, even if your site looks best at like 12 pixels and super light fonts. Anyway, that's a bit of an aside. We have the current dark mode or light mode settings applied thanks to our global CSS file, where I do define some CSS custom properties, some CSS variables that do apply when the user prefers a color scheme dark. And we're doing the same thing for everything that's inside a data-theme dark or not do anything if they are under a data scheme light. And that data theme attribute is something we've put in our root layout component in the Next.js. So in our source app, we're using the app directory and the source directory because that's what I prefer. On our root layout component, we have a data-theme equals auto. You'll see that if I switch this to dark, we would also, if we refresh on the right, we will be getting dark mode indeed. And if I set it to light and refresh, because this hot reloading doesn't know that I've had the server serve something different, we go to light mode. And if it's on auto, as it were, as we said before, it's gonna use the color scheme that I prefer. So if I prefer light mode, as I've set it now to emulate, it will go on light mode. If I do not emulate it anymore, it will go on dark mode. And what we really want to do is to have this data-theme auto be dynamic based on cookies. And that's how we're gonna start the stream. So let me set up a 25-minute timer, my focus timer, that keeps me from rambling too much, but also gets me back into engaging with the chat and the audience more. So we'll be doing this with cookies by using the Vercel next headers cookies helper library here that can give us access to the cookie store. So in our root layout, I'm gonna give curly brackets again to this method. I'm gonna import that cookies library almost at the top. And I am gonna use essentially this. The example we have is the theme, which is quite interesting. Quite fun. And then my data theme is going to be the theme that I get back for now. But of course, this means that this will be none because that cookie should not be set. It makes me go into light mode. So I'm going to say if the user doesn't have that cookie set, let's default back into auto. And if we are in auto, then I should be going back into 3Z. Let me not throttle my network. Oh, interesting. So cookie store get theme. This is an object. Interesting. That seems quite wrong. It returns an object with a name and a value, it says here. That's not what I expected. So what is it actually returning? Just theme and once again the value, I guess. Right, so it's an object that has the name of the cookie and then the value. Interesting, I don't know why they did that. So what we want is the value as a theme here. Call it theme object and call this theme object value, or auto. I think from previous localhost 3000 experiments, we may have a dark themed cookie once again. So if we don't have it, I do wonder. Can we just do theme value here? Or auto. And we should be able to. All right, so now that we don't have the theme cookie, it goes back to auto, defaults to whatever I put in here. So dark now, light. If we have the light cookie, if the user has set the light mode, then they should see this, the lighter version of the website. Makes sense. So I guess we are getting the dark mode from the cookie, but we never set the cookie. That's what we're going to be doing next. The thing to note here is that the moment you use cookies from Next.js, then that route is going to need dynamic rendering. So it's not going to be statically built, which may be not what you want for your blog or your marketing website, because you'll want it to be built and served immediately. It will affect the response time from the server if it's got the site already rendered for any user. But we may try to fiddle with cookies later, deeper into the tree, so we can serve the initial HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and then maybe stream the parts that do vary according to the theme later. So the user gets a response immediately, maybe sees like a nice loader or something, and then gets into the site proper with dark mode or not being enabled as they please. But first, let's make that cookie work, and with that, we need our route handler. So that's a new Next.js feature. With the upper router, we don't have the API routes anymore. We have the route handlers, which remind me of how Svelte does server endpoints as well, and how Remix does it, if I remember correctly. But if I create one now, you'll probably agree that it's quite similar. So if I create a directory for theme, it's going to be the round, and then I need a handler.ts. It was a route.ts. For themes, that's route.ts. And in here, I need to export the relevant verb that I want to handle. And it's going to be a post. To have a post example as well. Here. They're not using any parameters here, which is interesting. All right, here's what we want to copy. So we'll be handling a post request. I do prefer doing the fat arrow methods for everything. So I'm seeing fat arrow method there. And I guess we'll be getting the theme from the request, body, and then responding with theme again. Everything went all right. What else do we have here? Next. So look at the docs. How do you just return text from this? Do you just do new next response, and then it's going to be a text response? I think so. 200 next response. I imagine that's going to be the case. But if we hit now the /theme route, we should make it here. So who will be hitting this route? It's gonna be a nice icon like we have in this app. Hello there app. Gonna bring this forward to us. But for now, it will just be a regular button, I suppose. We'll work ourselves into nicer UI. So let's call this theme. So this button will be toggling the theme. I wonder if Next.js has a specific way to handle forms. Like Zvelkit does. Maybe not. And let's say that in this form, we will have a hidden input with the value of light. And maybe we don't need to write anything here because I'm gonna write a theme toggle React component. Still all of that. So the value here will be hard-coded light, but we'll be changing it eventually. So if you're on dark mode, it should go to light mode, and if you're on auto, you should be doing something clever to figure out what the next one should be. But we'll figure it out. The point is that we probably want a non-submit here. Let's see if GitHub Copilot is writing something correct here. Looks legit to me. That's quite a lot of code that GitHub Copilot is writing for us. So I do think that we can have the form data by creating a new form data of the event current target. The current target is going to be the form. So if we pass it into the form data constructor, we're going to get an object, form data object, that's going to have all the values of all the inputs in there. And the theme should be form data get theme. We don't need to type it as anything. And this is going to be its theme value. I want to do this. What I do want to do is a fetch request. Fetch requests here in these examples. It's only on the backend, so I think that's immediately injected, magically injected by Next.js. I don't need to bring it in from anywhere. But what I want to do is hit our own theme endpoint with a post request with a body that's JSON, and also some headers. The content type should be application JSON. So after that is done, in my dreams, we have a quickie. Whoops. So interestingly, this says event handlers cannot be passed to client component props. But the problem, I believe, is that this is not a client component, it's a server component, so it's the opposite. But our theme toggle, I do imagine we need to turn it into a client component, which I can only guess is by .client.tsx. I haven't done this yet, but we'll figure it out. Let's search for client components as well. Actually read the docs. Oh, use client directive. Not a convention. So nothing magic with a flying with a name. I see. That's why these streams happen, so we can encounter these things that the Next.js team has landed on. So it looks like this does nothing. What you actually do now is at the top, you say that this is a client component. And now it's happy. Amazing. And on submit, we're going to do this. And I'm hoping that when we press that toggle theme button, that doesn't look like a button, but we'll fix it. We'll fix it later. I'll click the toggle theme here, and then we should have a network request to task theme. And indeed we do. And the response is whatever we sent. So we got a light as a response. If we send dark and click it, we get dark back. If we say hello there and we click it, we get back hello there. Great. What is not happening just yet is setting a cookie. So unfortunately, as it stands now, we cannot use this magic Next.js cookies library to set cookies. We can only read from the cookie store, which is fine. Which is no problem at all. Because we can definitely set cookies the classic way by sending back a response. So let's find how do we set cookies. We need to set cookies header. Oh, interesting. Cool. We can actually use the response here. Interesting. I didn't know this. So here, I'm gonna let the response up. And we want response cookie set. And I can only imagine we should definitely return the response. I hope we can pass in the body here. So yeah, let's first check that. If we create a response like this, and click, something goes wrong. Interesting. Can we do that? Not. Can we do that? How do we set the body of the response? I was thinking that this would like chance would work. Then do we have access to the cookies? Let's see it. Cool. And it does have a set cookie with on the road path, on the absolute path, which is quite cool. So indeed, when we do click the button now, we do get our light in cookie set. This is awesome. But we also want to ensure that the path, the route, it's the root of our app. We want a max age that's gonna be like a ton of time. Can be like 10 years in seconds, which I'd love to be readable. So 60 seconds is 1 minute, 60 minutes is 1 day, 24 days is nope, 60 seconds is 1 hour. What is it doing here? So 60 seconds, 1 hour. 60 seconds is 1 minute. What am I saying? 60 seconds is 1 minute. 60 minutes is 1 hour. 24 hours is 1 day. 365 days is usually 1 year. 10 years should be enough or thereabouts. For leap years or max age, it's going to be 10 years. We do want same side to be true. And the secure is a tricky one. We probably only want we definitely want this to be true in general, but sometimes in localhost that will not be set. And here it is, but maybe on Safari it will not be set. And is it HTTP only that we also want? Let's see in Next.js, in ResultKit, what are they doing? Set to relax. It only should be true. And you can see the moment I refreshed. So without a cookie, I am on dark mode. If I click this button and refresh, then the server is going to serve things up in light mode. So it is working as we expect. We're just double checking that we're setting the actual cookie correctly. So the secure parameters. So the theme cookie, the path is correct. The expiry is 10 years in the future, which is more than enough. HTTP only is set. I think if we open Safari, this won't work. So it is not good practice, but maybe essential. You gotta do this for Safari as many things. We need to check if we're serving from localhost. And can we get like the path? Is it really in the headers? So let's try to hit this again. Yeah. So we can say that if origin includes localhost, if origin doesn't include localhost, then we want a security cookie. So if I nuke this cookie and set it again, it's not going to be secure. You have to trust me because I think my face is on top of this. But here, not a secured cookie. In production, this will be secure because it won't be served on localhost. So all well and good. So our response handler, request handler, whatever this is called, is good. We are setting the cookie correctly, and then when the server comes back, if we refresh the page, we are on light mode as we want, but it will never toggle back into dark mode or auto because there is no way to set it to dark mode. Now we're hard coding our theme toggle client component into submitting light, and we don't want that. What do we want? What we want is for this to know what the next theme should be, or what the current theme is, and then what the next theme should be. And for that, we may put the theme in context. But for now, we can just pass it around before we introduce context and all of that. So let's say that the header gets the theme. The header gets the theme. And passes it into our theme toggle. Let's say it passes it as current theme. And then here the theme toggle is doing the same thing as props. Only this time, that's the current theme. It's a prop. And we can say that the next theme equals, well, if the current theme is light, then the next theme is going to be dark, or light in another case. That may be good enough for now. And then the theme will submit to our route handler. It's going to be the next theme. So now that it's light, we toggle into dark mode. You can see here, and when we refresh, we're on dark mode. We click again, light cookie set. So we are on light mode. And we will make this transition happen immediately soon. Because first, we want to accommodate for auto mode as well. So this could be auto. The theme starts as auto. The theme starts as auto. So we can have a function that says get derive next theme. and then it does a switch on the current theme. Then we can say that in the case that it's light, return dark. In the case that it's dark, return light. And in the default case, if none of these are true, so let's explicitly say in the auto case and the default case as well, then what we want to do is actually check the user's preference. Which is interesting, because this may, no, it's a client-side component, so it will only run on the browser, so we're fine. So there must be a match media thing that I can steal from the last time I did dark mode. So in this case, we run a match media query, check whether the user prefers color scheme dark. If it matches, and they are on auto, then they are currently on dark mode, they're clicking for a switch into light mode, so we return light again, or else they are on light mode, so we return dark, so they'll toggle into dark. So derive next theme, given the current theme. Let's destroy this cookie. We're on dark mode. If we click, we should set a light mode cookie here and refresh into the other one, but it didn't actually work. Because we forgot to return this. Johnny, almost. You were almost awesome, but you flubbed it. So click, we ended on light mode. Click again, we're on dark mode. Again, automatically, thanks to my operating system setting, I prefer dark mode. So without a cookie, first time I hit the site, I'm on dark mode. I click, I'm on light mode. So it's all going to plan. It's all looking good, but that's not a great experience. You don't want to press this toggle theme button and then reload the page for your thing to apply. You don't even want to wait for the server to respond and say you've successfully toggled the theme. You want this to happen optimistically, instantaneously. Like, it's dark and light mode, it doesn't really matter where you are, everything should still work. So just update it according to what the user wants. Even if you don't set the cookie somehow and your server blows up, it's fine. They'll have a good experience regardless. So, I'm actually not using this anymore. I'm gonna have it be here. So I am polluting the DOM with this input because I think it makes more readable. I think it's a bit more accessible, even if it's a hidden input. It's a bit better. So we do want this to be the next theme. And then get the next theme here, and pass it around. Still works, so all good. This should be the same, so I guess we can just do this and not use form data. But form data is cool. Know how to use it. Right. So let's go back to the agenda. Let's see if my timer has gone off. So I will go to the chat just for a moment. Feel free, your questions, your days, how are they going? Let me know if you'd like, or silently code with me. That's also perfectly acceptable. What we've done so far is indeed to make dark mode with cookies work, and we're setting the theme cookie with our out handler, and then we want to move on into client-side toggling. So now I click, cookie set, I refresh the page, I get the theme that I want. That's not the experience of our dreams. The moment I click, I should be switching into light mode and back. So how do we do that? I think we'll do it using context. Some people are afraid of, but they shouldn't. It's a first level top React API, vanilla React API. It used to be kind of unstable, but that was like 5 years ago, or however long. Redux that people used to love was always using context behind the scenes. So if you're like, oh, I prefer Redux over context, like you were using context a lot still. And for context, we'll be using it for two reasons. I think it's going to make the client-side switching a bit easier, and we'll also be avoiding property drilling. So we have the theme here on our root layout, and we are passing it to the header, which is then passing it to the theme toggle, which is not the end of the world, passing it out in like a couple levels. It's fine, but what if we want to have like a different toggle somewhere else? We probably won't. Doesn't really matter. We are mostly doing it to do the client-side switch in a more easy way. So let's create some context. I do think I have a link here. Let's see how it's done nowadays. The new React props. Let's create on our root a theme context. Yes. And our theme context is going to start as auto, and we can even have a theme type. Auto light dark is correct. And I imagine we can type this. Cool, that's our theme context created. And I imagine we need a provider as well at the top level here. So in our root layout, we're gonna have right at the top theme context provider, and its value is going to be the theme. But this we can create another method, derive theme. Or no, even better, we can create a type card, which I think in TypeScript land has a different name nowadays. But all we need is a method called isTheme that takes a string and returns can export this and use it here. say our theme cookie value is this. And say that our theme is theme portrait. This is unknown. So we ensure that context only works in client components. Ha! Interesting. Quite interesting. So we may be diving in slightly deeper. Can I use state in client components? Because if that's the case, then I am fine doing a bit of prop drilling. It is a client hook, so we can only do it client side. That is very, very interesting. So where can I use this cookies thingy? Only in server components. Interesting. So I can make all of this be a server component. But then it wouldn't be able to pass here. Let's create a main.csx, the component. This is going to return maybe kinda all of this for now. And we don't want to inline return. And we don't want to do all the crazy stuff we're doing here. But we will want to pass this theme from the cookies into our main component. Now I'm gonna say use client on this one too. This is gonna take a theme prop. Maybe here I'm gonna do the tag. I'm gonna call it theme cookie. And it's here that I'm gonna use the theme. And of course, I'm not gonna use HTML or body or anything here. Oh, I guess it changes the functional component as well. Do not have children by default. People were upset by that. So I am gonna type the props again. Say children React node here. And in here, I'm gonna bring in my main component and pass in the theme cookie. It's gonna be a theme. I can call it cookie. Well, and of course, I need to pass in children as well. All right, so now with that done, maybe we don't need the data thing here. All, but then nothing will be working. But maybe our main can actually pass everything here. Can have our data thing right in here. Yet we should be on dark mode, but we ain't. Oof, too many mains. So let's make this. Do we want to make this a div? Not really sure. I will call this div for now. And check our globals. So everything inside here should still be inside the data theme auto. I don't see anything on the appline. Ah, of course, we what? We're on light mode. If we toggle theme and refresh, we're on dark mode, but still everything is on light mode inside here. So that I don't particularly understand. It's because we do apply to the HTML all of these things. The busy surface, -1, etc. I see. So if I apply this to data theme dark or data theme anything, Anything that has a data theme. Would that work? Apply something to any element that has a data attribute. Apply to any element that. Right, so if attribute exists, this should apply if we put it in brackets. So now suddenly it does work. So the moment we have a data theme, this gets applied to anything in between. Cool. Again, we may want to add the theme here and have like have something that puts its value and syncs it, but not just yet. What we want is to make the transition happen immediately without a reload. So we need to set the context to something else. Which means that our header doesn't need anything, doesn't get the prop anymore. Our theme toggle won't need that prop anymore. What it will want is to use the context value. It looks like it's not nested inside a value, so just be whatever it is. So everything should be use context, theme context. And we want how do we change context? Do we need like a helper? So in the theme context, we can actually have it have two things. And have it have a value and a toggle, I suppose. And our toggle function is going to be exactly what we had in our method in theme toggle. Or similar, I guess. Maybe not. look here. So actually, this context, this theme context is going to have a value. It's a theme, and just a method, a toggle method. That is going to be taking theme and returning nothing. Or maybe it just returns nothing anyway. We could call it set theme. Nah, just toggle is fine. But that means wherever we put the provider, so in our main file, bring this in use state from React and do that ternary here, and we can signal that this is a theme. And export from here. And then we can create a toggle method that is going to be doing all the crazy deriving stuff from our theme toggle. We can put outside of the component. So then in our provider, you can see that the value is the theme and the toggle, the theme toggle method we created. And everyone will be happy. We don't need to pass the theme anymore. And what we do want to do is have our theme toggle here. Not do this. And let's remove this. Because toggle theme should be enough to understand what we want to do. We do want to hit the server anyway, so actually we can also provide the next theme as well. So from the context, we should have the theme, the toggle, and the next theme. So let's go back to our theme context. This way I prefer Svelte nowadays. Probably. actually gonna use this. So in our main, I want the current thing to be this. That's the next theme as well. And that should be enough for everything to work. So we have the next theme here, and I want, even before we do the fetch request on the server, we want to toggle the theme. So I'm hoping now when I click this toggle theme button to switch into light mode. Indeed I do, and I can come back as well. So looking nice and dandy. All right, sweet. We've missed the flexibility of all of this. And also, I am a bit sad that we cannot use a server component for our header. So I am sad that already, like, all of this needs to be a client component. I was hoping that we can do like a placeholder, like header and footer are server components, and in the middle we have a client component, and also the toggle theme button that would could also have been a client component as well. But the rest of the header should be fine. But I guess in order to use context, we do need client components. Interesting. Interesting indeed. How can we get around that? How can we get around that? I will take like a small break to think about it. I am thinking that maybe we can go back to having the data theme be in the HTML, and then having the theme toggle thingy be cleverer, I guess, and trying to sync that up. But then, and that's it. So all the logic, instead of doing all the context stuff, like our theme toggle button is like super clever, but everything else is just dumb. We'll see. So that's where I'm leaning. We did do client-side toggling. We're not doing really much streaming. So the HTML, the initial head, and the body should be streamed, just should be server rendered, and then the rest of it is streamed. But it's just so much that I don't think you really get much gains here. So we did do it, but hey, we're not gonna do parallel routes or UI. I think we'll make a super clever theme toggle button, and that's gonna be the best for performance. So I'm committing. Let's do it. Theme toggle, like main component, all of this craziness. Don't want it. Boom. Whatever we did in globals, like target data theme, I don't want it. I want to tackle the HTML. In our layout, we do want the data theme to be from the theme cookie. Just call it theme here. So just undo everything? I think so. Yeah, undo this. You don't need it. Theme context. Nah, don't use context. You don't need it in this case. We do need the route handler. We do need the changes we did in the header to add the theme toggle button. So all of this is good. Let's have a look at our layout component. Oh no, we didn't need this theme stuff. So we do want this stuff. It wasn't, not everything we did was for nothing. Wasn't all for naught. So that should be fine. The header should do nothing more. Theme toggle button. Let's go slightly back to where it was before we started using context. And this is the thing that needs to understand what is the current theme and what it isn't. Maybe we'll just not do it yet. I'm trying to think that this component will definitely be using state, and this component I think I will have it look into the HTML element and get its data attribute. So in other places, like in development, just get the document element, I guess. So we can say const current theme equals document element dataset theme, and then or auto, I guess, just as a sanity check. It should never be anything. It should never be undefined. This should always be rendered because of our layout component. The next theme can be this, which is fair enough, but we want all of this to be in a use state. Use state from React. And I can do the theme type here again. I can say each theme equals so what do we want this to be? I want this to run once, initialize, so theme equals this, and then we can return each theme here. Let's call it data theme for maybe more clarity. This is the theme, return data theme or return auto, great. This is gonna be theme. This is not exactly what I wanted. No, it is correct. Great. So what is the problem? Problem is that this should be theme, set theme. I don't know if we'll actually use the set theme here. Maybe we will. Probably. So the next theme is going to be this, but maybe we don't care. Maybe we run this inside our form submission. Maybe immediately we set the theme to be the next theme, even before we do the fetch request. But I guess the big thing is that we want a side effect. So we'll use a side effect here, and we'll do some stuff in our callback. But indeed, we will be watching the theme for this. And the stuff we'll be doing in our callback is setting the data, the theme of the HTML element to be the next theme, or whatever the theme is currently. So this should keep stuff in sync. I guess we derived this because we're using it in the hidden input, which is fine. All right, so we did a bit of stuff here. Let's see if we click and it toggles, and indeed it does. And nothing is too stretched, everything works. So you can see that because we have the theme cookie, this starts our server with HTML data theme auto. Oh, interesting. When we toggle the theme, it's light, then dark, light, dark. But why does it start as auto? What did we mess up? We must have messed up something. So we do have a dark theme cookie here. Let's look at our layout component. This never has value? What? No, that I don't understand. If we start on auto, that's fine. But why is this not persisted? Interesting. So there must be something here. We're trying to get this from the document element. But does it start as nothing? It must, right? Funky. Let's try to pass down the theme. Again. Let's see if that changes things. this theme quickie for clarity again. Go to the header once again. And pass this here. Alright, will this change anything? Yes, somehow this works. So I don't know what Next.js magic was happening before, but now I start with no quickie. I'm a new visitor on this website. I prefer dark mode, so I see dark mode. I click the theme toggle. I set the light theme quickie. It has instantly changed the moment I click it, which is awesome. But it doesn't remember where I left it for the next time I hit the server. So everything seems to work. The intricacy here is that because we need to access the theme quickie here, then the server needs to do this work, and it cannot statically render our website. Is this a problem? Probably not. Probably not. My question is, should I make the whole header a client-side component? Also, probably not. We can figure it out next time. What I want to figure out is to have a nice theme toggle button here, which will steal from my other videos and the internet, the inspiration of which we've taken. So I do think the theme toggle icon here is an SVG component. So let's see how well we'll manage to translate this into React. Let's just create a theme toggle icon here. And return all of this, but all of the styles, I suppose, are gonna need a lot of changing. So everything as a style tag, I'll just delete it for now and care about the component itself. It seems like all I need to do is change class to class name and we should be good to go. Bring it in, right, we're getting something. We are supposed to be on light mode now, so what we need is first to contain this, I suppose. Yeah, not bad. Not too shabby. It's the nav, of course. Sorry. Some center alignment. And do I want to justify between? Maybe. There's a little section here. It's gonna also have flex and items center. Maybe gap 4, maybe. Yeah, that icon looks a bit dodgy. Should it be the form itself? That's not big. So just have a button, no inputs or anything like that, for simplicity's sake. And then this on submit is actually an on click. What type of event is this? It's a click event, but what could it be? This is a mass event handler. It does have an event prevent default. We don't need to do anything with forms. Our toggling still works. And we want our theme toggle icon to have potentially theme toggle icon CSS. And let's refresh our memories of how do you do CSS with Next.js. We can call it module CSS if we want. In here, I have all these Tailwind classes, but also styles dot whatever. And in here, this one will have all these crazy styles that we had. Tag. Instead of SVT like this, with a space, and call this container. This will be styles. This will be styles sun. Will be styles sun beans. Any class name I've missed? Don't think so. All right, and we see the nice, lovely transition working again. not bad. Pretty good, if I may say so myself. So we even have a nice icon here. I won't be using SVG icons for now. We won't be going deeper into streaming. I will want to research it more. I am thinking, can I do something to have that check for cookies happen a bit further in the website? Which we should be able to, but that seems to be something for the next stream. Let's commit this and maybe we'll give it another chance. Weird console logs we left. No, everything looks nice. Everything works. But here's what I'm thinking. I am thinking that we can create a parallel route. So I did say we're not going to do parallel routes here, and maybe we won't. We'll just give it like a quick try. But I do think, do they call it parallel routes? I think there was a blog post about parallel routes that because all of this is in beta and active development, things do change. But I do think SvelteKit style, if we have like a main or any directory name that's in between brackets, then we can nest stuff inside here. So what I'm hoping to nest is another layout file inside here that is going to indeed be bringing in header and footer. I'm still thinking about this. So the header can also have access to the quickie. The header is the only thing that needs access to the quickie, right? The header is the only thing that needs access to the quickie. Maybe not these types of components here. Maybe all we need is for the header to be the thing that does the quickie stuff, right? And pass it down into our client component. So what if this root layout does nothing with theme cookies, doesn't pass in a theme cookie here or anything of that sort, just inline returns and is happy, and our header is actually what does the quickie stuff and what does bring in cookies from next headers and passes the theme cookie, doesn't get it from the props, gets it from the cookies and passes it into the theme toggle, and then the theme toggle does its magic and because it's also keeping this in sync with the document element, I think this will just work. Not quite. Not quite. So if we are on dark mode, the server does start on light mode, and then we get that flick into dark, which we may be able to get around if everything on the site is hidden behind a loader until the theme is activated, which would be crazy, wouldn't it? So if you're on light mode, it's fine. But yeah, now we are back to the client side, setting the theme, and at that point you can just use local stores and not the cookies. But the site will load faster initially. One last thing to have a look. Like if there is no head here. If we had a head with some JavaScript to execute, what would happen? I'm not sure. What is for sure is that I do prefer the previous version of the site, which may be a bit slower. Not noticeably slower, I'm sure, especially with casting, but doesn't flick from light to dark. I think that's horrible. You should avoid this somehow. It is kind of hidden from the header because that doesn't change. That's always dark, even if you're on light mode. And we could do the same thing with the footer, but everything else, like unless we hide it behind like a loader, then it's not gonna quite work. And even this component is gonna be toggling back. So yeah, I'll need to think about it off stream for our next episode. We will be doing fresh stuff in the future. I think I'll probably come in and say, hey, here's what I've done with the theme, which will probably be for now. So just tracing these changes once again, because I do think that's what we'll be committing to, figuratively and literally. So this is my current site, this other site. This just works. No flicker, no nothing, which is what we want the most. But does mean that we cannot statically build our site because we're accessing cookies immediately in order to put the data theme on the HTML element, which may be fine. If we have performance problems, we can tweak things in the future. But other things we'll do. Track analytics. We are tracking them in our current site. I'll quickly show how we'll do that. The type animation that I have videos about, but it's not actually used in my current site. We do have this flicker in, but type in cooler than flicking in potentially. And it's something new. People like that video of the type animation. And then I do hope to get like a workable design so it doesn't stay on a long-lived beta branch. We just are able to say, oh, this is my site now, version 3 or 4 or wherever we're in. We'll see. We'll keep working on this. Hope you had fun. It was fun for me, for sure. I'll deploy this so you can always check out my current site and my next site, my beta site. But until then, I will catch you on Fridays as well for more SvelteKit stuff, most probably. And other than that, probably Tuesdays for the Next.js Chill stream. Just a quick sip of coffee, in case we have some sad activity, but I think this will be it. Hope you had a lovely time, and I'll see you around.